The goal is to show that given the extent of our current scientific knowledge and the demonstrated exceptionality of the world, the idea of a superior being is not fictional at all. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. So chapter 2, section 4, the natural argument. I'm now coming to the conclusion. So section summary. It is through the observation of the world around and within us that the singularity of this universe becomes apparent. Life itself being the most striking element of this singularity, probably because this fauna and flora seem omnipresent in our countries, like temperate climate countries. The singularity of life has lost its exceptionality. Like you see grass everywhere, you see animals everywhere, birds flying. It becomes common. But that commonality still hides exceptionality behind it. If you really look close to how it works, why is it here? Why isn't it different? Then you start seeing how exceptional it is. So thanks to the intellectual effort of scientists who are in constant pursuit of a better understanding of the universe, one is able to appreciate life and its exceptionality anew. However, as mentioned initially, these wonders are but evidences. They are not proof, they are evidence. They are not absolute proof for God. These evidences allow for both theist and atheist interpretations. That's important. The fact that the scientific community is made out of both believers and atheist non-believers, or should I say naturalists, shows that the beauty, the complexity, and the balance of the world are not categorical proof. They are not absolute proof of the existence or non-existence of God. It is thus left to each person to evaluate the explanation that seems most likely, most logical, and most useful. Again, I don't know of any irrefutable proof of God, but I have evidences, and I can use these evidence from the natural arguments, the different natural arguments, to inform a belief in God. So going to the chapter summary. To conclude, science should not be embraced as a dogma, but rather as a perception. It's a point of view. It's a possible explanation of the world. That's it. One must keep in mind the limits of human perceptions and consequently the limits of physical laws. The limitations of human perceptions is fortunately not an obstacle to human development. You can still push forward. You can still progress. Through probabilities, statistics, for example, they illustrate how these limits can be overcome. In the absence of direct and categorical proofs, one has to base its conclusions on incomplete data, uncertain result, and what seems to be closest to truth. Indeed, the establishment of scientific law can rely on a combination of indirect experiences. Similarly, in order to prove the existence of God, it is not necessary to feel Him, to touch Him, to see Him, but to recognize God indirectly in His creation is sufficient to strengthen faith in Him. So when I deal with the question of existence of God, or more generally, the existence of a superior entity which orchestrates the universe, I must evaluate each hypothesis. Am I the result of a divine will, or the result of randomness, governed by itself, by self-sustaining natural laws? So both hypotheses can be subject to biases, and neither can be directly supported or refuted by material proofs. Again, I make a distinction between proof and evidence. So it is the duty of each person, each one of us, to adjust the graduation of the balance. God on one hand and His absence on the other. One can then put on each pan the evidence that support one or the other. The needle of the balance waver from one side to the other according to the weight given to each of these evidences. By listing in this chapter a series of scientific wonders, the goal is not to simply fill the gaps of knowledge with God. I'm not taking the argument of the God of the gaps. And to force onto the reader a theist view of the world. The goal is to show that given the extent of our current scientific knowledge and the demonstrated exceptionality of the world, the idea of a superior being is not fictional at all. It is not as fictional as the current atheist perception of the world purports it to be. On the contrary, it becomes quite rational. جزاك الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.